Hello friends, welcome in. I am Karen from A Little Kinder by Karen Day, and today I am bringing you some ink blending techniques. So I am so excited that you are here and you are learning. You may have seen ink blending before and you may not have. You know, there are always new people coming into this craft, and so sometimes going back and doing some 101 kind of things is a great idea. So I am in a series and in a place in my creative world where I am making a bunch of artist trading cards. And one of my favorite things to do is to create a bunch of backgrounds when I'm just not feeling maybe that creative. So there's a tip for you. On the days that you're not feeling super creative, do something like this. So again, welcome in. I'm Karen from A Little Kinder by Karen Day. And today we're going to dive in. We're going to talk some about ink blending. We're going to talk a little bit about color theory as well. My personal background, I came from the art world into education and being an elementary school teacher, and now I am teaching all of the paper crafty things. I'm also trying to get over a horrific sinus infection, so I apologize for having to stop and drink. Let's talk color theory real quick. You can see my palette here of what I'm going to use. I've already pulled out my ink blending tools and matched them with my colors. But I have pulled kind of a red-yellow palette. And the reason is red and yellow, when you mix them together, gives us orange. And in different variations. Now, I'm sure you're looking at Wild Honey and going, ma'am, that is a little bit of a brown. Wild Honey is kind of my current favorite hidden gem. It is a color that it just kind of does its own thing. It morphs. So we're going to be using that. We're going to be using some antique linen, tattered rose, spun sugar, festive berries, and then I've pulled in the newest color, lumberjack plaid. Let's start by doing some ink blending. Just some basics. This gray stuff that you see underneath, this is Tim Holtz Cling. So this is something that helps me hold, as the whole world shakes. Sorry, friends. This kind of holds my stamp pad in place. There's a little bit of movement, but not much. I am blending on a glass mat. I like the way that that pulls on and off. I will be very honest with you. I have watched lots of videos and I've seen lots of people ink blend. Everyone's a little different. Some people don't like going from a glass surface onto. I will tell you, my trick is light touches. I don't hold it by the handle. I actually reach down here for the more substantial base, and I'm going to swirl. I am using mostly my finger muscles and a little bit of my arm muscles. So I'm going to pull and push through the shoulder, so this part back here, but my hand is going to be doing this, and I'm going to pull and push. All right, so very lightly. Pulling my arm around the paper. This is barely resting on the paper, so I know that that's kind of hard to gauge. That was something that when I first started with ink blending, I was like, not really sure. Not sure how they're doing that and holding the paper and getting everything to cooperate. So you can see in here some of the lines created with different pressure and or the amount of ink that was on this ink blender. So I am using the Tim Holtz foam. This is not the domed foam. This is the regular foam. It is I think they call it the flat foam. I'm not a huge fan of the dome foam. And the reason why is I feel like I get a whole lot more of this kind of issue with the dome foam than I do with this one, with the flat one. And it may be because I'm not really able to feel where this foam hits the paper if it's domed. And I do apologize if the world is shaking. It's just what we're going to have to deal with. Alrighty, so I feel like I have a nice even blend on there. Again, very light touch. I have not been paying a whole lot of attention to where I've been touching this paper, and that could very much cause a problem later. Typically, I will use painter's tape on my fingers to hold paper down. And what I mean by painter's tape on my finger, if I could find it, we'll get some nip tape out. Something is caught in my drawer. All right. So your fingers have oil on them, right? That's just kind of how it is. So when you get oils on your papers, it will transfer onto there. The paper will wick it away or soak it up. And then you kind of have this really weird blend happening. So what I'm thinking I want to do is go from Wild Honey to Festive Berries, and then maybe back out into Antique Linen. I keep wanting to call him Antique Lemon. Whoops. Now, I do not get a new foam every time I go to ink blend. I have containers that I keep them in so that I don't have to use a new one. I would recommend, there are lots of different people with lots of videos on how they store their ink blending tools. I would highly recommend watching some if you're new to ink blending and you're wanting a source or a way to store your things. And y'all, it's just that easy. Now, I want to talk about this blend area. This is where I'm wanting this to change colors. So I'm going to grab a little more ink and I'm going to slowly and gently go into my Wild Honey area. And then I'm going to grab my Wild Honey and go back into the Festive Berries area. And this is going to start to develop an area that's very orange compared to either side. This is a process where it shakes, and I do apologize. I know I've said that quite a few times here. But it's kind of the nature of the beast. And there you go. You can see that really pretty blend. So we've gone from the yellow to the Festive Berries. Then we came back with Festive Berries and worked our way into the Wild Honey. And then we took Wild Honey and we worked our way back into the Festive Berries. That is how you get a truly smooth blend. All right, now I'm going to go back to my Festive Berries and I'm going to blend it out a little bit. So I'm going to spin this around. This is really where I want to make sure that I have tape on my fingers because it will lift the ink. If I stick my finger in that, it definitely will lift. Alrighty, and so it's the process of building up the ink very lightly. Now, I could go get a piece of this cling and put it underneath my paper, and that would help some with the jiggliness of my paper, but I didn't grab it beforehand, and it's all the way across the room. So we're just gonna work with what we've got. Alrighty. So I'm really gonna blend, and I may come in and widen this area as I blend in some of this Festive Berries down my paper. That's one of the things that I do like about this technique is it's very forgiving. So if you've not gone far enough, it's very easy to come back in. Alrighty. I'm not sure if you can hear the noise. My desk sits up against a window, and when I blend, the desk shakes and it hits the blinds, unfortunately. Again, this year, the goal is to figure out some things in this crafty space so that you guys aren't having to deal with some of that shaky shake. The problem is to get rid of the shaky shake completely, I need to do a ceiling mounted camera, and the Hubs is not going for it. He is not a happy person about drilling holes into the ceiling, and I get it. He's like, so what happens if you don't want to stay crafty forever? And I'm like, I get it, I get it, I get it. Of course, I'm thinking a little spackle and it's dealt with, but you know. Alrighty, now I feel like I've gone far enough with the orange. Let's grab the Antique Linen and blend out this way with Antique Linen. Alright, so Antique Linen is another color that I really, really love. It is a little bit yellow. I think that it is truly considered a neutral in the world of Tim Holtz. To me, it has a little bit of yellow in it. I don't know if you've ever been around old cloth that has yellowed, but it really is this color, and it's gorgeous. So we're just going to do the same thing, building up the layers, going back and forth. Because this is a lighter color, it will take longer, so just be aware that as you're ink blending, darker colors go on faster, lighter colors take a few more minutes. It's not more elbow grease, it's not pressing harder, it's just literally more time. All right, and you'll notice as I go to blend in Antique Linen over the Festive Berries here, it is turning kind of orange, but it is not this bold, bright orange. It is a much more subtle orange. So knowing your colors, knowing your color theory, playing like this, taking some time to say, I wonder what would happen if. That is going to become your best friend in ink blending. Alrighty, so here we go. Smooth, beautiful blend. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the Festive Berries and kind of come back a little bit into what we just did. Every time you go over it, it will darken it up. So if you liked it super light and smooth, don't keep adding, okay? Because the more times you go over it, the more times it's going to put down, or the more ink it's going to put down, not more times. Alrighty, there we go. Look at how pretty that strip is. And just like that, my friends, we have a beautiful ink blended piece that we will be able to use to cut our artist trading card backgrounds from. Now, one last thing I want to do before we move on. I want to use what I know about these inks to my advantage. These inks will oxidize. They will look white if hit with water. So I'm going to pull some water in my hand, okay, and I'm going to flick it. I like that method as well as I like taking and spraying with my sprayer. Now, all of these little water droplets that you see is super shiny are going to react with the ink. Okay. I do see a spot that doesn't have any water, and so I'm going to hit it. All right. Now I'm going to hit this with my heat tool real quick to dry it out some. Just helps speed along the process of the water reactivity. You can dab this off with a paper towel. I would not use a textured paper towel. I would try to come up with something that is smooth. I do have a sackcloth linen that I use a lot of times. All right. Oh, so pretty. So, so pretty. Again, I am using a paper that will hold up to water. This is not my Nina Solar White. I love my Nina Solar White for stamping, but this is a thicker paper in case I wanted to do some more mixed media things. This is actually a mixed media paper pad. I believe it's from Strathmore. There you go. Look at how beautiful those dots are. Oh, so, so pretty. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for this Technique and Tip Tuesday. I hope that you will like this video so that others can find us on Tuesdays. And if you will follow us so that you will know when the next video loads. I try to put things up a minimum of once a week, sometimes twice a week. And on Wednesdays mornings, I try to do a live with What's Up Wednesday. So until next time, my friends, see ya.